Hi, I'm Larry Richardson, your step-by-step chef, and this is the latest edition of Cooking and Camping with the Step-by-Step Chef. Now, one of the biggest problems a lot of people have traveling is digestive issues, and a lot of it is caused by the food they eat. You're eating out too much and you're not getting enough vegetables. And I try to solve that in the cooking series that is combined with Camping and Cooking with the Step-by-Step Chef. And this evening, I'm out here in the remote desert just outside of Austin, Nevada. I'm primitive camping, so anything I have, I brought it in. There are no services whatsoever. And one of the things I brought in was a bunch of vegetables to cook up. So we are going to make a spinach power dish that will put your gut, for want of a better term, back on better terms with you. So come on, let's cook. Now when I said primitive, I meant primitive. Here is Cookie's kitchen for tonight. You can see his chair, he's got his old stove, he's got his vegetables, his cutting board is there, a little olive oil, but I'll show you the ingredients right now, up close. Oh boy, if you thought working around a picnic table was fun, you should see this setup. So I am kind of like, I'm in my chair, I'm kind of bent over. And the first thing we have is a bag of spinach. And this is an 8-ounce bag of spinach. The next thing we have is olive oil. We use 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I have a small box of mushrooms. Now I'm going to have to pick through this, obviously. You can see some of the mushrooms got bruised in my cooler. And then I have half a tomato. And we're going to saute all of these together and then just salt to taste. So it's that simple. But this is a power vegetable dish, and it's one that you can put in, well, it's a standalone, but you could also take this and just drop it in some spaghetti sauce, some bolognese. You could have it with, any side, and rice or whatever. But this is very valuable. This will help to get your belly feeling a lot better when you're traveling. So let me show you how to prepare it. So these vegetables, well, it's obviously not the mushrooms yet, but the tomato has been rinsed off. And I'm just going to cut the core off the top. Then I'm just going to dice it. We just want little pieces of tomato. I don't want big chunks of tomato in this dish. So we're just cutting the core out. Oh, that's a tough tomato. That's like a desert tomato. It was fighting for its life. And then we just want to dice it up. And again, if my preparation looks a little bit shaky, it is just because of the position I have to be in when I do this. Now, if you're out camping and you do plan on doing a lot of cooking, you can certainly bring a full-size table. I just don't need that level of luxury. I don't mind crouching. I'm not always filming, so I'm sitting in my chair, I'm leaning forward, and I'm just dicing up some tomatoes. This is no problem. And another thing is, if you don't think you can get fresh tomatoes where you are, and in some parts of the country, they don't always have access to fresh produce, you can substitute a can of diced tomato, pre-diced tomatoes. Just drain it. You don't want all that liquid in this dish. So look at all that goodness, all that delicious tomato. Let's put that in the pan. Next up, we're going to pick through these mushrooms and then rinse them. Give them a little whiff. Yep, they still smell fine. It's just some of them got bruised. If they didn't smell fine or they're kind of greasy feeling, I wouldn't use them. I would just use the spinach and the tomato. But there's a lot here that I can save. Okay, I'm just going to go rinse them with some water and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back in my chair and just get these mushrooms aside. And we're just going to dice these two because they'll cook up nice and small. And, they have a few miles on them with me, so they might not look like the pristine mushrooms that you have at home, but they'll be fine. Okay, so the mushrooms are all chopped up. And what we're going to do is start sauteing all of this first, and then we're gonna get this all cooked down, and then we'll add our spinach. Now my pan is kind of small, so I might have to do this in a couple of steps. I might not be able to get all the spinach in there at once, but in the end, all of these ingredients will be combined. And here's our 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Okay, so I'll meet you over at the stove. So carefully light your stove according to the instructions. Always read the instructions. That's lit. I can hear that it's lit. Now I'm just going to put this on there. I'm going to put it just over medium heat because I don't want to have to do this all night. And what we're going to do is just occasionally stir this as the mushrooms cook down. And if the tomatoes give up too much liquid, then use your spatula, tip the pan, and get rid of some of that liquid if you want to. But I'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes as we make progress with this. Okay, so 10 minutes in, you can see this mushrooms are cooking down nicely. Everything is really sauteing up. This is going to be one tasty dish. And what I'm going to do is wait probably about 5 more minutes, and then we'll start to add the spinach. And 5 minutes later, you can see this is cooked down great. And I don't want the mushrooms any smaller than that. Any smaller and they will completely vanish in the dish. So I'm going to put it in this container. And this is the container that ultimately I'm going to store this dish in my cooler anyways. So that's just going to go right in there. Now, just got to reach over. Now it is wilting the spinach time. And you may have to add a little bit more olive oil. It's totally up to you. And, you know, pick through the spinach. If you see any pieces that look kind of rotten, like this one, you know, wilted on its own, pull it out and discard it. But this spinach feels like it's going to wilt pretty fast. So this process, let's see a little bit more spinach to discard. This process is just a matter of adding spinach and stirring it. And just keep it moving and it will shrink down. And as it shrinks down, just keep adding more spinach. And I am going to add a splash more olive oil. There we go. Don't overdo the olive oil or this will become a very greasy dish. But I just want to add that so the spinach doesn't absolutely stick to that pan. Isn't this kind of cool? I mean, you can make just about any dish that you can make at home on 2 burners, you can make out here. And you can even multiply the burners basically by preparing some of the ingredients and then kind of adding stuff in back together. And I mean, there are very few things that I have not made out here. I mean, certainly baked goods, although I've met people who do specialize in baked goods while they camp, which is kind of funny. But it's good that I don't specialize in baked goods because I will eat them. That's one of the only reasons why my series does not have a lot of baked goods in it, is because I love baked goods. If I make cookies, I'll eat them. So I try to go a little bit light on that and stick to, you know, really kind of the traditional proteins, carbohydrates, fruits and vegetables. And leave the baking to people who really enjoy it, are really good at it, and I can visit them and eat their baked goods and then leave. So I'm just going to keep doing this. You can see that the spinach is starting to shrink down. And I'll be back in about 10 minutes, and I think all the spinach will be wilted by then. So I'll see you shortly. So the first bunch of spinach I added, it took about 10 minutes, and it wilted down nicely. You can see it's at the bottom of this pan. So I just added a little bit more spinach to it. And then you just stir it in. Kind of roll it so the stuff that wilted goes to the top. And then you just continue to do this process until your bag of spinach is fully wilted. This is looking good. This is definitely one of those power dishes that's going to make you feel better. So just keep on stirring that spinach. And here we go. That entire bag of spinach is wilted. You can see that it takes so much less of a space. And all I'm going to do is add some salt, but don't add too much salt because people can add that at the table. Just adding some salt, give it a little flavor. Just, you know, not enough so that people pick it up and they go, oh my God, this is so salty already. And then I just want to stir in our mushrooms and tomatoes. Now, on my website, StepByStepChef.com, I also have a very simple version of this that is just really spinach with onions. It's a sauteed spinach with onions, and it's another great power dish. So I'm just going to warm this up, and actually tonight I'm going to have this with some curry chicken breast and rice that I made. So this is absolutely going to be delicious. Look at that. This is one of those vegetable dishes that makes me drool. I hope it does you too. Doesn't that look yummy? That's going to put your system back in your time zone. So congratulations, look at what you just made. You just proved that whether you're cooking at home, you're cooking on the road, or you're camping and cooking, you can eat healthy. It's really not that hard, and it does not take a lot of time. Now, if you like this recipe, please visit my website, StepByStepChef.com. There you will find a printable version of this recipe and printable versions of over 175 breakfast, lunch, and dinner recipes. You'll also find with each and every one of them, a step-by-step chef YouTube video that will show you how to make it the step-by-step chef way. Now, in addition, since we're doing cooking and camping with the Step-by-Step Chef, you will also find step-by-step videos on how to camp. I'm just going to show you the essentials, and then you can make it your own, just like these dishes. So I'm Larry Richardson, I am your Step-by-Step Chef, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.